Alright guys, got another inverter battery video for you guys. Seems like the only videos I'm good at making. Well, maybe I'm not even good at making them. Anyways, so got everything figured out with this inverter. This is in fact a 48 volt inverter. This is not 60 volts. It goes up to 60 volts. I guess they didn't understand me very well when I ordered it, but they sent me 48 volt. So now this has become my backup. So this will be running my house. This will be running some stuff in my house, but it's kind of, you have two, it's a backup. I eventually want another one of these, but anyways, so I got this Reliable Electronics 3000 watt. I've not loaded this down yet. I've put a compressor on it, started it no problem. It's got a hardwire feature. You gotta be careful with this, because if you get you can wiggle your fingers in there and actually touch it. So, kind of dangerous. So at least it's only 120 volts, or actually 110 volts instead of 120. It's running in the cold. It's not that cold in here. I'll be able to tell inside. It's probably only about like +4, +5 Celsius. And yeah, giving this one a try. It doesn't like the 64 volts on this battery bank. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's hit and miss. But when it does work, it flashes funny. 48 volts works perfect, so that's what I'm doing. And so now I'm doing a test. Got my Nero running so I can look at the app on my phone, see what I'm pulling, see how it's working. Battery voltage is sitting at 52.8 volts. And that's only because I turned that on. And I got this hooked up just temporarily. I actually have 1700 watts of solar on this, or 1500. No, 1500 watts of solar on this, but I limited the output current on this thing to 5 amps. I could probably boost it up a bit more, but it does 5 amps at 56 volts. So a little over 200 watts only. I'm thinking about cranking that up a little bit, but we'll see. I just wanted to play it safe, so this is like my trickle charger, because I'm using my laptop and stuff off this, and then during the day this charges it right back up. Today was my first test. I used the batteries quite a bit yesterday, and when I came in here, like it's cloudy out, and as you can see, we're not making like any power anymore. Batteries were charged. So when I came in here, they're 2 volts higher. They're 54 volts, or 1.2 volts higher, 54 volts. But I can't wait to get the. I need a little bit of help, but I'm going to get a nice big board that's white, and I'm going to put hinges on one side again so I can remove it and stuff. But this time I'm gonna put everything in conduit. I think I might not even do the hinges, but we'll see how it works out, see what works out best. Yeah, 48 volts. I like it so far. I haven't noticed anything crazy good or crazy better in efficiency or anything, but I think the big plus will be these charge controllers are 24 volts. So how I'm going to repurpose them, and actually reuse them, is I'm going to put 24 volts on this battery bank that's on the top, and then this one for 24 volts will go on that battery bank on the bottom. Equal amount of batteries, and I'll make sure the equal amount of solar panels, and I'll put them in a spot where they always get the same amount of sun. I'm going to try that out, see how that works, because I got 4 charge controllers here. I would rather not have to sell them and buy new, so we're going to try and use them, see how that works. And same goes for these, one of these on each across the battery bank, and we'll see how that works. All these green things, those little things, are for the lithium batteries. They're doing alright. I actually like them for 25 bucks. It's a pretty good little unit that can handle around 400 watts. But yeah, maybe we'll do a little test on this thing later. Alright, so I switched to my filming camera. This is the RX 100 Mach 5 from Sony, and we got the the heater. This is the heater that kills inverters. That thing's killed my my last Chinese inverter. So it's nothing special. It's just a 1500 watt heater, but that's just what happened to be on it when it died. So what do we got here? We have, let's take this down now, put this somewhere where you can see it a little bit better. Okay, got my cell phone with the Nero app. This is a sweet app. Gives you a nice time. I just tested it because it was saying 0 watts, so I wanted to make sure it was working. I plugged a 300 watt halogen in. It's taking 247 watts. And it's very accurate. It's just as accurate as that watt meter over there. So we're going to turn this on. We're going to see how many watts it takes and see how the inverter handles it. Here we go. So far so good. 1000 watts. Inverter's not complaining too much or anything. We got 50.6 volts on the input, 1480 watts on the output. I don't know if you can see that. There we go, now you can. 111 volts out, it's saying. 112. So that's that. I'll let this run for a little bit here. Yeah, it's pumping out. Working just fine. You can, I like this thing, you can set it to a temperature, set it to 20. It'll never get up to 20 in here. But so we are holding at around 1435-ish, we'll say 35 watts because we're jumping. That's the little clamp meter. I just split this little extension cord up. We have 112 watts, or volts, sorry. Nothing's getting warm. It's saying 50 volts on this inverter. What's this inverter says? This inverter says 49.7, so that's very accurate. It's probably because we got 0.3 drop in these 4 gauge cabling, which is, I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure this is more than adequate for this inverter. I will check it, so that's 300 amps divided by 4. These got to be able to handle something like 80 amps. I'm pretty sure they can do that, but I'm going to look it up. Might double them up. I have them anyways, so. But yeah. I don't want to say I like it yet, but I'm hoping this is going to work just fine. I got in contact with the manufacturer and they said either I can pay to ship it back, obviously, get my money back, or they just gave me a really good deal on another one. A much better deal than I even got on this first one. I asked them for a good deal to do a review and stuff. So they are sending me a 60 volt model. So I'm going to keep this 48 volt and I'm also going to get a 60 volt. The 60 volts can be for these only. And this is just, I'm testing it right now, but it's mostly backup and for garage use and whatnot. Okay, looks like we've jumped up to 1450 watts. Maybe because the voltage went up 1 volt. I find as the input voltage goes down, the output voltage actually goes up on this inverter. Nothing, there's no heat coming out of this inverter whatsoever. I'm doing this because I did this with my last inverter and it gave me signs of failure. Before it failed, it was getting warm. This inverter is not. So it's running a 1500 watt load. It's 50% of its rated capacity. And it seems to be having no problems at all. We're just wasting this heat, but that's okay. Very interesting. Alright. Oh look, see? We climbed another volt. See, as the voltage goes down on the input, it goes up on the output. And we're starting to take even more power. Awesome. I like one thing, my other inverter that died on me, it put out 127 volts usually. And what that does is it makes a heater like this work better, throws more heat, but it takes much more power, where this will actually take less power. It's smart on the inverter manufacturer's part, because whatever they put on it takes less power. Well, wife was calling me for supper, so still climbing in wattage, still working just fine. It's crazy that the fans haven't even turned on yet. Starting to feel a little bit of heat up here. Very interesting. Everything seems okay. I think these are the output MOSFETs. It's very interesting. Anyways, I'm going to stop the test because I gotta go in and eat anyways, but I'll come out here and continue this later. Alright, so we are back in the garage. Still testing this reliable electric pure sine wave inverter. We got the Nero monitor running on the app on my phone, 61 watts. We're going to use this heater now, just because the other heater is for my little girl's room and she's going to bed soon. It's nice because it's got a thermostat, and we mostly heat with fire, so it keeps her room from getting cold. I plan on running that off solar as well, but we're going to go fan, which goes to 80 watts. Then we're going to go to low. Low is getting up there. Here's your input voltage and output voltage right there. So actually, it's pretty crazy the difference between this one being set to about 115-ish to 110 volts to the other one I had that was set to 127 volts. Because this heater is taking about 450 watts. It's climbing still, but that's what it's taking on this. But on the other inverter that had quite a bit higher voltage, on low took like 650 watts. So it took quite a bit more, even though this is still climbing. You can see the nice graph it's giving you. Very interesting. So what I'm trying to do is warm this thing up slowly, because what I find Chinese brand stuff, there's a heat sensor over here, and there's a heat sensor over here. They have a big long aluminum heat sink, a big long aluminum heat sink, and that one temperature monitor is for this entire heat sink. So it's got two sets of MOSFETs here for input, two sets on this side for the input, and then on this side, all over here, they have 4 MOSFETs for the output, and they're far away from the temperature sensor. And I was feeling heat coming out of right here before. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Don't want to feel too much heat, obviously, but I want to get the fans to turn on. I have a massive battery bank, so I could do this test for a very long time. I can easily do it long enough to get these fans to run. Want to make sure they run, because I don't want to have any issues. I'm feeling a tiny, like not heat, but it's warmer here than it is anywhere else. So obviously, the output side on this inverter, I'm thinking, is probably the weaker point, because that's where it's getting warm, which is fine. Where the input side of the other brand that I had was the weak point. So we'll see about that. We are now pulling 490, 485, yeah, right around 490. We are on low. If you put your hand real close, it's warm. It's nothing not like blowing a lot of heat out, but this also moves more air. And our voltage is still. And I'll get back to you guys when the fans turn on. So here are those output MOSFETs right in there. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see here if I go something like that. I think you can. There's 4 of them. They're the output MOSFETs. And I believe those are what's getting the warmest. There's 4 of them. It hasn't, no more heat's gone, has started coming, but you can tell that they're warm. Still no fans. Everything seems okay so far. And I'm going to keep testing this. I want to see these fans turn on. That's a must. Alright, just cranked it to high. As you can see, this heater has a real gentle start, and it starts getting higher and higher and just continues to climb. And now it's actually pumping out some good heat. Okay, so just checking for heat and any abnormal amounts of heat, because these gotta heat up this entire heat sink to the sensor before it's gonna turn the fans on. So I want to do that slowly. So if you guys can, when running stuff, try and warm your inverters up first. The safeties will work better. That's something I've learned. It doesn't seem to be throwing any more heat than it was before. Input voltage has actually gone up a couple volts. Input voltage has gone down. So it's about 0.3 of a volt less than what this reads under load. These cables aren't even a tiny bit warm. Looks like we're hitting around 1300 watts ish. And that's this heater on high. Actually, give me a view of the front. It's a cheapy $30 heater. Looks like we're kind of at the max that it's going to draw. This is a sweet app. I really like this thing. This is nice. I could be anywhere in the world as long as I have internet. I can see what my house is using. It's kind of nice to know. Gone up another volt. Tiny bit warm, just only at the output stage. Input stage doesn't, I don't feel anything at the input stage at all. It seems the output stage is the only thing that gets warm on this unit, really. Which is very interesting. It's kind of the opposite of my other inverter I had, where the input stage never even got close to warm because they had so many MOSFETs. This one has half as many MOSFETs as the other one, but this one has larger input MOSFETs, so it's very interesting.